The next problem asks us to use some trig to help us find a missing angle of a triangle. The lengths of the sides of the triangle are 5, 10, and 13 meters as depicted in the diagram. What is the cosine of the smallest angle of the three angles? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to identify what the smallest angle has to be. There's no doubt that the smallest angle has to be here because it's across from the shortest side. So this is the angle that we're trying to find. Now what they're kind of leaving us out there on is we don't know if this is a right triangle or not. They're not showing it, they're not indicating in any way in the diagram or in the word, so we could probably assume that it's not. So SOHCAHTOA is probably going to be limited because this is only for right triangles. So if you really wanted to, you could verify that it is or is not a right triangle by using your Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem would say that if they take the two shorter sides squared, add them together, they'd have to equal the hypotenuse squared. So we can identify if this is actually a right triangle or not by applying our Pythagorean theorem. So our longest side is our 13 squared. It has to be the hypotenuse. So if there is going to be a right angle, it's going to be in this corner. So 13 squared is equal to a 5 squared plus a 10 squared. Well, we can make pretty quick work of that. We know that 125 does not equal 169, which basically verifies that this was not a right triangle. So we cannot use SOHCAHTOA. So that's why I had another method up here that we can use to try to find this missing angle. So whenever we have a side or a side angle side of a non-right triangle, law of cosines is our best bet for finding the missing angle. So the law of cosines, as I depicted, has an equation that says c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine of angle C. And I'm going to depict this as angle C, which means the shortest side is the length of side C on the opposite side. So the side angle pairs, whatever equation that you use, there's three different forms of this. Make sure that your side and your angle that you're looking for are opposite. They call them side angle pairs. That this angle and this side, the pairs, are lined up on the outside edges of your formula. So what we're going to do is we're going to place in our numbers. So we got 5 squared equals A, which can be either 10 or 13 at this point. That doesn't matter. So I'm going to go 13 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times A, which is 13, and B, which is 10, times the cosine of C. Now, if I get the whole picture, what they want us to do is what is the cosine of the smallest angle? Well, this is the cosine of the smallest angle. We want a representation that says the cosine of C equals this ratio, or the angle. So now it's a matter of simplifying what we have. We got 5 squared, which is 25, equals 13 squared, which is 169, plus 10 squared, which is 100, minus 2 times, and I'm going to go ahead and multiply all these together. You got 2 times 13 is 26, 26 times 10 is 260, cosine of C. I'm going to add these two together, so I got 25 equals 169 and 100 is 269 minus 260 cosine of C. I'm going to keep trying to solve this and get cosine of C isolated by itself. So in order to do that, first thing I want to do is I want to get rid of this 269. It's being added here, so I'm going to subtract it. So I'm going to take a negative 269 plus 25. So a negative 269 minus 25 equals, I didn't get that, I'll try it again. It was a negative 269, and then it was a positive 25. It's a negative 244, that's a little bit better. So negative 244 equals, what I got rid of was a negative 2, or the positive 269, but I still have left over here is a negative 260 times the cosine of C. I'll leave this a little more. So to get rid of multiplying by negative 260, we're going to divide both sides by negative 260. Slide that down. Those will reduce. Negative divided by negative, we just will reduce that, make it a positive. So it's 244 over 260 equals the cosine of C. Now that's my preliminary answer. I'm going to see if they force us to put it in lowest terms. So is there an answer choice 240 over 260? And there is. Sometimes they'll make you put it in lowest terms. A quick way of doing that on your calculator, if you want to return fractions into lowest terms, simply take your 244 divided by 260. I know they have a common factor of 2. It turns it into decimal. Then if we did our math, We can turn it into a fraction by hitting option 1, and it would give us our fraction lowest terms. In this case, they didn't make us do that, so we can stick with our 240 over 260, 244 over 260.